Dear viewers, welcome to our Tea Time program. Today we have our dear friend Michell Schoenfeld joining us from Bodrum. If you remember, we first had Michell on TASCTV on March 23rd, the day she was flying to Turkey at 11 p.m. that evening, and still made the time to do the show, our TV show. In March, we were all worn out with the pandemic, and she was the right person to brighten our program. First of all, I want to thank her again for taking the time from her busy schedule in Bodrum and join us for this program. I also want to thank our wonderful TASC TV team joining from New York, New Jersey, Istanbul, Ankara, Bursa, a totally and amazing global network. Michell is a TV travel host, a wellness expert, inspirational speaker, consultant, and storyteller. She is based in Washington, D.C., and more than anything else, she is a most lovable personality. And now taking residence in Bodrum as a Mediterranean goddess. What really makes her dear to us is her love of Turkey, which is truly amazing. Michell has spent 20 years in wellness industry, including 10 years in pharmaceutical industry, as well as co-founding a successful medical spa. She hosts a well-being podcast, is a TV wellness commentator, and has been featured in many media outlets such as ABC, CBS, The Washington Post, Hürriyet, Daily Sabah, and many others. She is a well-being therapist at the Life Company in Bodrum, focusing on mindfulness, meditation, and healing. She is on the board of several philanthropic organizations and is a lifelong international traveler. I really would like I'd like to invite everybody to watch Michelle's Moth program, Do You Feel Safe?, which is a 5-minute program, and it was shown at NPR, and I think it was highly regarded at the Moth program. Moth is a storytelling platform of very high quality, and it really gives inspiration to new writers and presenters. So can we have the video now?
Do you feel safe? Aren't you afraid? These are the questions that I get when I tell my story. And I love telling my story. I will tell it to anyone who will listen. It's a story of love and adventure and renewal and transformation of mind, body, and soul. So when I tell all these details and I hear, do you feel safe? I want to scream and say, really? Were you not just listening to me? I can tell you, when I had cancer and had a port in my chest and was bald and skin and bones and wanted to die, then maybe I didn't feel safe. When I was trying to uncouple from a dangerous and unhealthy relationship with a man that I loved and was terrified of, then maybe I didn't feel safe. Or when I had given up my identity and sold my soul for the lifestyle I was in and didn't know how to ask for help, maybe then I didn't feel safe. But this story, this wonderful story of big love, well, you decide. It goes something like this. So 4 years ago, the doctors gave me the okay to travel again after my cancer. And I wanted to go someplace I had never been before. It was Turkey or India. Well, it was August, so I wasn't going to India. I decided Turkey. I brought my best friend with me. She's 10 years younger, had kind of given up on love, was trying to decide if she should just leave everything and go to Paris for this job. But then she said, I don't want to go to Turkey. Let's go to Barcelona. Let's get a house on the beach and make out with surfers. I was like, okay, that sounds like a lot of fun, but I need to go to Turkey. I can't explain why. It's in my soul. I feel it, and it has to do with big love. Well, that's all I needed to say. Those were the buzzwords she was in. We land in Turkey, walk into our hotel. We see the Bosphorus in front of us, the body of water that separates Asia from Europe. I'm hooked. But then I get sick again. I spend 2 days in the hotel, can't move. I told her this could happen from my treatment. She's a good sport, but on the third day decides to call one of the names on the list of the many names we were given. We went on our trip, and she's gonna go meet somebody for a drink that night. Well, thinking it's probably not the best idea to let her go alone in a city we don't know, where we don't speak the language, and it's nighttime to meet a man we don't know. I rallied, I went with her. We get down there, she goes to make a phone call. I go to the restaurant to find him. I'm walking through the tables, and I see this beautiful man who looks kind of like Benicio del Toro walk towards me. I'm like, wow. Well, he's on the phone. He doesn't see me. I'm invisible. I look to see what he's seeing, and he's seeing my friend with her hair blowing in the wind on the phone, smoking a cigarette. They turn, their eyes meet. I watch for the very first time. Fireworks, love at first sight. Well, that's their story. But it's a good one, and it is about love, big love. They do distance, they get engaged, they get married. I find myself coming back to Turkey a year later for the wedding. Late at night, I land in Bodrum, this beautiful little village in the Aegean. No idea where I am. I wake up in the morning, and I see the sun rising out of the Aegean, the Greek islands in the background, and I feel like I'm home. I see the purple blue waters. I feel it in my soul, like I've lived there before, and I can't explain why. I just knew that I belonged there. It was a magical week. I loved it. I came back to Washington, D.C., but I felt like part of me was still there, and I had to figure out a way to go back. So I did. I rebelled against what all my friends said, what all my family said, what everybody said. I trusted my heart. I sold my house, quit my job, bought a one-way ticket, went right back to Turkey. Had 3 job interviews, got an offer, got a house. And then it's a little village house. I wake up every morning to chickens. I don't have air conditioning, but I look at the sea and I feel love and happiness like I've never felt before. I feel connected to my soul. I feel love. I feel renewed. I feel transformed. I feel inspired. So when people say at the end of this story, do you feel safe? I know what they're talking about. They're talking about the politics of the Middle East, the politics of Turkey. And what I can say is the people are wonderful and beautiful and hospitable, and I'm so happy when I'm there. But to answer it correctly, I'll quote the Sufi poet Rumi, which is very fitting. I am not this hair. I am not this skin. I am the soul that lives within. And for the first time in my life, I realized I did find big love. I found love within myself, self-love. And so, yes, I felt safe. Thank
you. This is amazing. I watched it many times and it moved me just as strongly. Now it's time for you to talk and tell us from the beginning, how was your trip? So how did Bodrum look after the pandemic? Tell us all about your Bodrum days.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Oya, for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be back with your audience. I have a little distraction here as well. This adorable little kitten is like, he's trying to like steal the show, I think. So yes, it was a really wonderful trip. I came in March, as you know, and within, first of all, let me just say, I am recording obviously in Bodrum outside. So the noises that your audiences will hear are the actual sounds of Bodrum. So you're going to hear probably some scooters, maybe some chickens, maybe some kitty cats. So I apologize if it's distracting. So I came, yes, in March, and it was great. I love spring in Bodrum. Off season is just beautiful, and the wildflowers were just starting to bloom. beautiful yellow flowers. All the fruit trees were in bloom. It was wonderful. And then within just a couple of weeks, it went back into a lockdown situation, which I'm sure, many of your viewers are aware of. And it was a challenge for sure. It was a challenge. Everything I was planning on doing kind of got put on hold. And, they did such a great job of handling the first round of the pandemic, I feel like. And then everybody came to Bodrum. Everybody came to Turkey because they felt like it was so safe, which it was. And then, unfortunately, there was a second round of the pandemic here. So it was different. It was quiet, but I really enjoyed it because the sea is the sea. It's so beautiful here that there are definitely worse places to be stuck.
Anyway, are you working with the same company that you did before, doing wellness programs for audiences?
I actually am not this time because the UK still is, there's some travel restrictions between a lot of the European countries and Turkey that the clients I deal with are English speaking. So unfortunately, I have not been working there. And then I had this really wonderful travel show project. So I, told them I'd be busy with that for a while. But again, because of the lockdown, everything's kind of been delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, how is the situation? It's easing up a little bit. So what do you see in the future?
It's great. It is. Book your ticket. It's great. So the president just announced last night, very grateful, Erdoğan, that President Erdoğan, that as of July 1st, there will be no more weekend curfews. And, excuse the big truck. Currently, we have 9 o'clock, the restaurants have to stop serving Monday through Saturday, and they extended it till midnight. So now we will be able to be out and have dinner and be out a little bit later. The shops will be able to stay open until midnight. You can swim, and there's no more weekend curfew. So very excited for July 1st, which is right around the corner.
Yes. Well, what about the weekdays? So the weekdays, the curfew is still on, or is just the weekends that are lit?
No, it's midnight. So the curfew is going to be midnight.
Weekdays, it's midnight.
Every day.
Okay, great. Well, Turks, of course, just start at midnight,
I know. It's true. It is true that, unfortunately, no live music. Basically, what they said was no music.
Yeah, but I was looking at the comments that people were very, very upset, no music after midnight. Try to play music after midnight in the U.S. You get a warning from your neighbor, second warning, and the police is at your door. We had parties, the Turks. We have parties, and we go crazy, and the neighbor comes, please, please, and nobody listens. And the next thing is the police says, please be quiet. Yeah. So music after 12 is not that common here, and I guess we need to get used to that in Turkey too a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but I guess habits are hard to change. So
hopefully it will change quickly, though, because I really do feel like things are opening up more and more, and they've done such a good job now of taking precautions that I really do think it's going to get better, and they're going to release the restrictions even more within the coming weeks. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But what's nice about the midnight, you're right, for Turks, we're eating dinner at midnight for sure, a lot of times, and then going shopping, right? The dress stores and the beach towns stay open until 1 a.m. as well. But at least the restaurants now are getting 2 or 3 seatings, where they really haven't been able to do that all spring and summer. It's been 1 seating and that's it. Because if you close at 9, it's difficult. So everybody here is really excited for things to open till midnight. It's all about perspective, I guess.
Yes, it is. It is. So I'm sure it's going to work out. So how is the mood of the people? How did they come out of the pandemic? How are they coming out? Is it your services are most needed now, probably, because probably people are depressed and a lot of unemployment and such?
That's a difficult question to answer. It's I can't give a broad answer for that because it really varies. It really does. Like, there's obviously a lot of people who have not been working, and that's frustrating. There's people, especially in the older population, who have not been able to travel because there were restrictions on 65 and over for a long time. A lot of people who have not been able to see their loved ones. There's a lot of, Turkish people here with family in the United States or the UK, or people from the United States or UK who live here who can't travel, Australia. I really was surprised. I didn't realize how many people in Turkey, Turks, have family abroad, and not being able to travel and see them has definitely been a challenge. So I will say that I feel like the older generation, it was definitely a lot more difficult. It definitely took its toll because the curfew restrictions were so much more severe for them. And also just the limitation on travel was hard. But I think, longer days, sunnier days, people are starting to be in a much better mood. I feel like it's a lot better now. I was here the first round when we were in that, 4 to 5 month complete lockdown where you could not travel between provinces. You couldn't go for a walk. All the airports were closed. I was here for that. So relatively speaking, this feels like freedom, of course. And Bodrum, as you know, is kind of paradise. Like, it really is a paradise. I've said before, I feel like this area of the world, this area of Turkey, has the potential to be the new well-being mecca of the world. There's just something about the water here. The air quality is better. The people are relaxed. I've tried to explain to my friends at home what tea time is, very fitting for your show, where people just sit and relax and actually have tea with each other, no matter if you're in a bank, if you're in a store, if you're in a little local market. It doesn't matter how high-end the business is or how local, people still take time for tea. And it's wonderful. It's a really nice culture in this area in particular. I feel like the Mediterranean and Aegean is, the people just have a much better kind of balance of life, I would say, because they are out in nature more. We're under the blue sky more. There's more greenery. I think it's very challenging for people, of course, in like Istanbul or Ankara. It's a very different story.
Yes.
In fact, the news here the last few months has been 500,000 people came to Bodrum during this. 500,000. And the number of cars and the traffic is really out of control. So, it's hard to answer that question when you ask, like, what's the mindset? I feel like the mindset is very optimistic and excited. But yes, people are very fatigued as well, coming off such a long pandemic.
Yes, especially businesses that are the restaurants, the shops, which are really heart of the of Bodrum. Well, Bodrum is just one of the cities. As you go east, the Mediterranean coast of Turkey is spectacular. As you go towards Antalya and Fethiye and Adana, Mersin, even to Hatay. So do you have any plans to travel, or have you traveled other areas in Turkey?
Yes, well, so I'm sure you're aware of, I am doing a travel TV show. Very excited about that.
Oh, really? Tell us.
I can give you more information on the next time.
Okay.
But it'll be coming up, and it has to do with Turkey and tourism and really showing the beautiful parts of Turkey that a lot of Americans just aren't aware of. So I'm excited about that. And with that in mind, I started doing a little exploring on my own on the times where it wasn't locked down. So I did a couple of weeks ago go to Marmaris and toured, the castle and swam in the sea and met with some people and had the cuisine there. And I went to Dalyan and saw the Lycian tombs, the Tomb of the Kings, right? Which the Lycian people in this area of Turkey date back to the 12th century BC. 12th century BC. And these tombs were, the Lycian people were there in that Dalyan area near Marmaris until 300 BC, I think. There was, invasion of the Persians and Alexander the Great and a lot in that history. So I got to see all that firsthand. It was really, really, it was a bucket list. It was a bucket list trip for me, for sure. And I went to Cleopatra Island and saw the ruins there, the theater, a temple to Apollo, 2,500 years old, the beautiful sea. The sea turtles. So I have done some traveling, not a ton. Yeah. Oh, the sea turtles were beautiful. It was so great. I didn't see babies, but I saw the big ones. I went to Akayaka and saw some of the artists there and watched the parasailing and windsurfing and just really trying to make the most of the time I have here. Okay. So, yeah, I definitely in the fall I'm looking forward to doing more, of course, like Cappadocia and Bursa and the Black Sea area and definitely Eastern Turkey. I really want to see Eastern Turkey. Yeah.
East and Southeast Turkey are some open-air museums. They're amazing, very different than the coastal areas. But what is interesting about Turkey is, first of all, there's a huge amount of history plus ancient history. And I also, I lived in the island. I love the Greek mythology because everything a human being can do, the good, the evil, the fun, it is in the mythology. I mean, the Greeks were smart. They didn't go to an idealized religion at that time. They just put up there in the Mount Olympus human beings with bigger bodies and other possibilities. And I loved it, and I read about it, and that's why I keep calling you a Mediterranean goddess.
I love it, thank you. Well, I do feel like I am a descendant of Artemis, which is interesting because Artemis, didn't have children.
Yeah.
So, but there's something about this area for sure. I think I shared with you last time. The first time I came to Bodrum, I flew in at night, and I didn't know where I was. I knew on a map, of course, but I didn't know the topography. I didn't know the lush greenery, the mountains plunging into the sea, the beautiful blue Aegean. I didn't know anything about that. So I wake up in the morning, and I'm in Gümüşlük, which is, another area of Bodrum. Just for people who are curious, who don't know. So Bodrum is kind of like a peninsula. It's like a sea, kind of. And Bodrum Center is at the bottom of it. And all this is the Aegean, of course. Up here you have Türkbaku, Yalıkavak, Gümüşlük, Turgatrace, going around the peninsula, right? So I wake up, like over here in Gümüşlük, and I see the most beautiful sunrise, like the sun just coming out of the Aegean. And I was like, wow, this is magic. So my friends were sleeping. I walked down to town, and there's Mindos, right? The sunken ruins of the city of Mindos, which is thousands of years old. And even, I think, maybe about 140 BC, something like that, Cleopatra was there, Brutus, right? They're conspiring. Like, the history here is just phenomenal. Never mind that Bodrum has Halicarnassus, right? One of the 7 wonders of the world. So I'm with you. Like, the temple to Apollo, Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli, the oldest ruin, I think, in the world. I think it's 12,000 BC or something like that. So there's so much history here to uncover and discover and share. And as an American, it is so exciting because we don't have that kind of history in the United States.
Oh, you have a new world.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's Native American history, which is very important, but we don't have the magnitude, the size, these kind of artifacts that are just preserved because of the weather here. They're so well preserved. To like walk and touch something that's 2,500 years old and still there, no problem.
Yes.
It's just amazing. Really, really amazing. Yeah.
Did you go to Antalya, you said?
I did not go to Antalya. No, I've not been there yet.
Antalya has a museum that received awards from Europe of being very well organized and very rich. But if you go to their tea room, there are little stools, marble stools, and they were from some old columns from 1,000 or 1,500 years ago, and you sit on them. There's so many of them that I think they can afford to use them as stools. I don't know whether they're still using them, but Antalya is also a very fascinating area. Every part. The thing is, when you read the guides, just dry reading doesn't do justice.
No.
You have to know the history, which is always quite bloody and passionate. But then you have to read the mythology, which is all the sex and scandal you can get. And it makes it just like, and you say, oh, at this point, Cleopatra did this, and at that point, whoever hero is doing that. So that's what I like. I love Greece too. I traveled in Greece, but Greece is more mono civilization. It's the Greek civilization, and yes, there were contacts with the Persians and the Hannibal, Carthaginians. Well, there was more in Rome, but it is one kind only, which is also very beautiful. But in Turkey, I always thought the word bridge for Turkey was a cliche. It isn't. It is really now. I'm seeing it is a bridge with all kinds of people, all kinds of civilizations, cities. Anyway, I'm very happy that you are doing well. And do you do broadcasts? Do you do programs?
I'm being distracted. I apologize. So he just wants to be part of the show. He's crawling all over me, which you can't see under the camera, because he's feeling like left out. We were talking about the pandemic before. Sorry, the kitties and the dogs. It was hard because there weren't as many people out who normally feed them, right? So I did a fundraiser actually in the United States on Facebook, and within a couple of hours, I met my goal, exceeded my goal.
Really?
Where people contributed money. We went and bought food in bulk and would go out during the day and put big piles of food for all the street animals.
And you did this in Bodrum?
I did this in Bodrum. Yeah.
Oh, God, that's wonderful.
And it was wonderful. I was really moved by the outpouring of support, because and all I asked for was, since you're sitting at home and you can't go out, just contribute what you would spend on one Starbucks coffee. That's it.
Great.
That's all I asked for. And within 2 hours, I asked for $500. That was the fundraiser. I had close to $1,000 in just a couple hours, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot of coffee. And I think it just made people feel good to do something. But that went so far. That fed the cats for, probably about 5 months. I took 2 cats to get fixed, like spayed and neutered.
Yes.
I took about 5 cats to get dewormed and parasites. So the money went a long way to really help the animals here. So I just wanted to give a shout out of thanks to to people who take the time to take care of these really precious animals, because they do rely on us more than we think they do, even the street animals.
Yeah. But there must be shelters in Bodrum. Do they have shelters?
They do. They have shelters, and the government actually does a really good job. They vaccinate them. There are feeding stations, no question. It was just the lockdown was an unusual situation,
Yeah.
So as far as
podcast,
I have a podcast. You asked if I record, and I do. I have a really great podcast. It's called You Lost Me at Namaste. And it's a wellness It's a wellness and travel podcast. And it is in over 80 countries now. I'm very excited about that. And I actually, 2 weeks ago, I did a show called Discover Turkey Part 1. And I talked the details of some of the history, some of the culture, some of the things that I've learned being here that Americans or other people in other countries who haven't been to Turkey might not know. So it was a very basic 101, but I talk about it. I talk about tea time. I talk about the wonderful bazaars, right? The farmers markets, just full of all the fresh vegetables and fruits, and the sense of community, people inviting you in for meals and for dinners, and the hospitality of this area. So I do have a recording. I do broadcast on You Lost Me at Namaste, and that's on Google, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can even ask your Amazon Alexa to say, hey, Alexa, play You Lost Me at Namaste.
Oh, really? That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, you have a good subject matter, which offers a lot of variety and endless history and archaeology and food. So that's really very nice. Just fits your domain. Very nice.
It is. Thank you. I will tell your viewers too, if anybody is interested in coming to this area and they haven't traveled to Turkey, or maybe they don't have connections here, it really is so much easier than you would think. I think people who aren't familiar think it's so exotic, which it is, but it's so far away. Well, Turkish Airlines has so many direct flights now right into Istanbul from so many different cities in the United States. Pretty much everybody speaks English, especially in this season.
Yes,
you know,
it does.
Of course, the big businesses like the airports and stuff, but even here, the little local hotels, the local restaurants, people speak English. It's easy to get around. It's on Turkish lira. It's not on the euro. You can get it from your bank in the United States. Any bank will order it for you. It's not a problem. And I just think it's really worth it. Like, it needs to be on everybody's bucket list because there's just so much history here. And it's really easy to get to now. There's even direct flights normally from the UK to Bodrum. So you can fly United States to UK to Bodrum even, you know. But you can't miss Istanbul. I feel like no matter where you're going, whether it's Antalya or it's Bodrum, you have to spend a couple days in Istanbul.
Yeah, well, they have, of course, tourism is a big, very important part of Turkish economy, and it really developed the tourism, the facilities, the ease, and of course the THY. Sevil just flew on the 19th. She came to Turkey. Did you connect with her?
She's with her mom right now in Istanbul.
Yes,
I did message with her yesterday, and she'll be, I think, going to Fethiye. And then we'll be coming to Bodrum later earlier in July. So I am seeing her when she comes to Bodrum in July. I'm very excited.
Yes, I think Mrs. I can't remember the name, Lolita Zinke.
Yes.
Have you met Lolita Zinke?
Yes. So I had the pleasure of speaking. I was one of the top speakers at the Turkish Airlines Corporate Club meeting. And they were guests of Turkish Airlines, and so we spent the week together actually in Istanbul. 2 years ago. Yes, I really enjoy them.
Yes.
And talk about loving Turkey. They definitely love Turkey as well and travel here often. So, and they're from, I believe, Montana and California. So
yeah, they live in Santa Barbara, but Montana is his state, and he was the Secretary of the Interior.
He was.
Yes, he was during the previous administration. And then now he's running again for the House from Montana. So he was a congressman before. He was a House member before he became the secretary. So we are all supporting him. We have a good Turkish political action committees. And I don't think he started the campaign yet, but they're both very, very nice and very lovely people. So Sevil, I think she came with Miss Zinke, and I don't know when they're coming down to Bodrum. When are they coming to Bodrum, you said?
They're coming, I believe it's like July 6th or 7th, that part of July. Yeah, that first week of July, they'll be here.
How long are you staying? When would you be coming back?
So I am coming back July 12th. I'm sad. I have anxiety already. I know, yes. I'm seeing my children, seeing my mom. I have not seen her since before the pandemic because we were waiting for her to get the vaccine, and then I was here. So I will spend about 6 weeks in the United States seeing my friends and my children, my family, and then I'm coming back in September, and I'll be here September through November.
Oh, that's the best time.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I love the fall here.
Yes, the heat eases up, everything gets very mild and beautiful. The sea warms up beautifully.
It does. It stays warm after summer, almost until December.
Yes.
Coming off summer, it stays warm. Like even now in June, it's a little chilly. It will definitely be warmer in September, October than it is right now. It's beautiful, but it's a little chilly.
It takes time to warm up or to cool off. So it is really a very good. So when would you do your tour? In the fall, in September? The tour that you are planning? Yeah, that would be good because the heat, especially in the Mediterranean coast, can be quite overwhelming. Anyway.
And we've had the lockdown situation, so it wasn't really possible. So
yeah, I would like to come in the fall to visit my family in Antalya.
Oh, I would love to see you if you're there.
Yes, they lived in Istanbul and they had a summer house in Antalya, but since the pandemic, they are living there and they love it. And I wonder if the crowd, Istanbul is extremely crowded, as you know. They say 15 million, probably it's close to 20. I wonder if this is going to make a permanent change in the demographics, that people will go back to the cities and decide to stay, of course, if the economic situations are right. I wish they would bring a change, because the cities are really developed in Anatolia now. It wasn't the cities when I left in 1960. They were small and really provincial. But now the cities in all over Anatolia are big, built well, crowded, economy is booming. So I think it's time. It's like New York and the rest of the country here.
Right.
Yeah, New York.
I will say that the real estate here is insane. There's hardly any availability. The prices are three times the price what they were a year ago. Like literally 3 times the price, because everybody wants to come here. And the schools, they're bringing their children. So I feel like people are definitely making a permanent move to come here.
Yes.
Not that they won't always have their feet in Istanbul or in Ankara or Izmir. Actually, I don't think Izmir has the problem that obviously Istanbul had with people wanting to get out, because Izmir is so much closer to the sea, of course. But I do feel like there's a lot of people I've met here that weathered out the pandemic here, that have decided to stay, that have children who have been doing school remotely, that now will stay and just work remotely or go back and forth when they need to, because the quality of life is so nice here. And I will also say that when I left, so I was here the first wave, I left last summer as well for a few weeks, and it was kind of depressing, right? Because it couldn't be open. Restaurants went out of business. Hotels went out of business. The tourism, people just couldn't come. They couldn't afford their leases. They couldn't afford their pay. It was tough, right? All around the world. But this area where it's such a short season and heavily reliant on foreign tourists was hit hard, and it was sad to see. So I come back now, and there's all these new restaurants and new hotels, and they're beautiful, and they're putting money into them like I've not seen in 3 or 4 years. Like brand new docks, new furniture, beautiful new restaurants, chef curated menus, craft cocktails. So there's a lot of excitement and regeneration that's going on here. So I'm very optimistic. And I think the people are too. And, I'm not putting my head in the sand about the economy, of course. It is tough, but people are really working hard to make the most of what they can. So
yeah, I think economy will pick up, because Turkey does a lot of exporting and construction business. Turkey is the second in the world. At one time it was second after US or China. I can't remember which. And then there is reconstruction needed in Syria. And Libya is very encouraging. Turkey had tons of investments in Libya until the war came and Gaddafi was, taken off. Yeah. So I think Turkey, as long as the passions cool off, the war issue is eased up, and then the PKK, we have a terror issue in the southeast border, as long as that is resolved, which I think will. So, it's time for peace. What else do we want? Enough of war and conflict. So it is wonderful. How is your Turkish?
Türkçe öğreniyorum. Teşekkür ederim. Her gün çalışıyorum, but çok zor. Ama çok zor.
Zor, but you're doing well. Remember, Esra is back. Esra is returning back to Turkey. So, so I don't know. We'll have to find a new instructor for the Turkish classes at the Turkish house. But I remember you were at her class. Yeah, Turkish is difficult. It's considered one of the top difficult languages in the State Department when they teach the diplomats.
Really? That makes me feel better, because language is difficult for me. My instructor, I have a private instructor now here, and she's told me I need to stop saying Türkçe çok zor and start saying Türkçe çok kolay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, she's like, you need to rewire your mind that Turkish is easy. But it's coming along.
Oh,
I apologize for being so distracted. I have a little squirt bottle just full of water.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I do sometimes to teach them not to scratch or not to like bite or, you know, because it doesn't hurt them. It just makes them stop what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't want him biting on a cord. He could hurt himself. But anyway, yeah, so I am really doing my best to learn Turkish. It's so much fun. I feel like people are very excited when I try.
Yeah.
Now that we're heading into the season, though, pretty much everybody speaks English during the season.
Yes.
So I don't get as much time to practice it, but I still try.
Yeah, well, in Turkey, in one sentence, you say so much. In one word.
My goodness. Yes, I remember the first time.
It's like a sentence.
It is.
And that is hard to figure out. Anyway, I'm very delighted. So will you be in Washington when you come?
Yes, I will be coming back to Washington.
Definitely.
I'll be in Washington. I'll go to Boston to visit my daughter. My son will come visit me. I'll go to Wisconsin to visit my mom. You know, I have a couple different things that I have, obligations I have in that time, but mostly I'll be in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you have the best of both worlds. I think.
Yes. I really am enjoying my time in Turkey. I really, you know, we have a full moon in 2 days. I can see the moon. Actually, I can see the moon right now. It's getting kind of dark here. Let's see what time it is. It's 7:38 p.m. for me right now in Turkey.
Yeah.
And the moon is out, and it's beautiful. I'm going to miss it when I come back to D.C., but D.C. is beautiful as well. I love D.C.
Yes, D.C. is lovely. I mean, life is
a little late for my tea. Look, in honor of you, I poured myself a tea.
Yes, that fits the chai sati very well.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Yeah, that's right. In the evening. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. What if you want to add something more? Let us hear. I know your time is precious.
Yes. So since we're keeping this kind of casual, since I'm outside and the wind's blowing and I have cats crawling on me, I thought maybe people might want to see what I'm looking at. So would you like to see what my view is besides your beautiful face?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So I'll put it up towards the mirror there a little bit. So you can see that mirror is just showing the reflection. And then I'm hoping my cords are going to...
Oh, what do you have there?
So first of all, we know that, you know, the Bogan Villa here in Turkey is amazing.
Yes.
So beautiful. And that's the Aegean right there.
Yes.
And then a little bit further, you probably can't see on the cameras going that direction. I come over to this side here. Are the Greek islands. There's Kos and Leros and really, really beautiful. You see, limited to my cords. How much I can show you, but I don't know if you can see the moon up there or not. But the moon is right about there. Anyway, it's really, really beautiful. And then the little village down there, that's Turkbuku. I live in Turkbuku. At night, it just lights up. It's absolutely beautiful. So.
It's just those flowers are amazing. So it is.
This guy will not leave me alone.
What's his name?
His name is Jasper, and I have helped foster several kittens over the time that I've been here over the years, because sometimes they get lost or the mom leaves them or something. And I said, I'm never naming another one because then they grow up and they go away and I miss them. But I couldn't resist. Jasper this little guy was not abandoned. His mom actually is here. She had them on my balcony, and she's such a good mom that I let her stay. And now I help, you know, I feed them. I make sure they have water. I've got a little flea medication today.
Oh, good. And cats are easy to take care of, especially if they can go out to do their thing rather than have an indoor cat all the time. I mean, they are totally independent. Dogs need us. Anyway, so that's really nice. I'm very happy you are having a wonderful time there. And when you come, which is soon, we'll be in touch and we'll enjoy by the water in Washington, D.C. We have some very nice restaurants coming up at the wharf. You know, the wharf.
Yes, I would love to. That would be delightful.
We'll definitely get together. And when is Cyril coming back? I wonder.
I think she's coming back the beginning of the second week of July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in Istanbul. She'll go to Fethiye, and then she'll come here to Bodrum and spend, I think, about 5 days here in Bodrum.
Excellent.
And then
Excellent.
she'll come out. Yeah, so we need to go have a proper breakfast. I'll tell you, I don't know if there was a picture that showed or not, but my favorite thing is the Turkish breakfast. I love a good Turkish breakfast.
Yes. Yes. It is very rich. There was at one time in New York Times had an article on breakfasts of different countries in their magazine, the Sunday paper and their magazine. You know, every country had a nice picture, but we had 3 pages of pictures. There was so much. There was so much, and it was spectacular. It was spectacular. But also, it's not the best for your curves either.
Well, you know, what's interesting is I'm vegan, right? So I don't have the egg, the cheese, or the meat. And so people are like, well, then what do you eat if you're not eating that? I was like, oh, my goodness, there's the simit, there's the amazing jams, the olives, the cucumbers, the tomatoes, the roca. There's so much delicious food. Yes, there, the olives. I just love. There's so many like little choices to pick from.
Do you go to the fish restaurant? I'm sure there are all kinds of good fish.
There's great fish restaurants here for sure. Yeah, they line like all the little villages. Like the sea is lined with the fish restaurants. Yeah. Really, really delicious, fresh caught.
You know, in Turkey, when they see a view, the sea and the little view, they immediately set up a little cafe or a restaurant immediately. And when I first came to the U.S., I was in St. Louis. The river was gorgeous, Mississippi and Missouri, where they have combined there. I said, this should be lined with restaurants and cafes. And they didn't have it. You know, they said, it's there. We look at it, we like it. And of course, the weather.
Interesting.
But the weather is very different there. You know, it can be very hot and humid and lovely, but there were other ways of enjoying it. There were other ways. But Turks, immediately, 2 chairs and a table.
That's so true. Yeah. I try to explain to my children as well that another big difference is because this is the sea, you don't have the mosquitoes the same way you do by a river or a lake.
Yes.
Because mosquitoes can't, they don't grow. The larva doesn't grow in salt water. It needs fresh water. So it is very different than having the,
and then you always have a breeze, and it's a different. Every country has their own nice, different ways.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for doing this, especially a little bit last minute. I assumed you're always doing programs, so this is nothing for you, and I'm sorry we stressed you a little bit.
Oh no, it's fine. It's just I'm a planner. I'm a planner. So, but it was such a pleasure. It really was a pleasure to be on here again. And I guess I should be saying Oya Hanım. That's Oya Hanım.
Yeah. You look beautifully tanned, and look at me. I look white.
The Aegean, the sun.
Yes, it looks very beautiful. The tan is very lovely. Again, thank you, and I will follow your podcast. And thanks for putting our previous program on one of your sites, the TV program. That was very nice. Thank you, and I hope this one will get there too.
It'll be my pleasure.
And when you come, we'll see you, and we'll eat by the Potomac.
Yes, that sounds great. I would absolutely love that. I would love it.
Definitely. And thank you again very much.